So now let us talk about what are the different rules for drawing ray diagram in these cases of convex lens. Friends, if you remember when we talked about 6 different cases of position of object placed in front of concave mirror, there were also 6 cases. We first found the 4 results for theoretical question where the data has not been given, not been mentioned, and still the question asked about nature of image, size of image, position, etc. etc. There also we first calculated the 4 results for theoretical question assuming r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, correct? Then we have seen the rules for drawing ray diagram based on laws of reflection for that concave mirror. We again drew the 6 cases, ray diagrams of 6 cases properly, and we have seen how it was justifying those results of 6 cases for theoretical questions which we have assumed. Here also in convex lens we are having 6 cases of position of object in front of convex lens, correct? We have seen, we have calculated for theoretical questions how by taking r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5 it becomes very easy to find those 4 results, correct? 4 results for different 6 cases of position of object in front of convex lens. And in the same way as we have done for concave mirror, now we will try and learn what are the different rules of ray diagram, and then we will come to those 6 cases again and see the ray diagrams whether it is justifying those 4 results or not. Okay, so what are the different rules for drawing ray diagram? This is a convex lens, focus point f1, focus point f2. Rule number 1 says if the incident ray is parallel to principal axis, this white dark line is actually your principal axis. This blue line which I have drawn here is your incident ray. It hits this convex lens and it is going to be refracted, not reflected. It is going to be refracted, that it is going to bend. It is going to pass through this lens, but it will bend. And since it is a convex lens, it will bend towards f2. It's because convex lens is a converging lens. Convex mirror was a diverging mirror, but this is lens. We are talking about lens. We are dealing with lens. Convex lens is a converging lens. So after refraction, that is, it is going to pass through the medium, I mean this lens, but it will bend towards this principal axis. So after refraction, this ray will bend towards focus point. So rule number 1 says if the incident ray is parallel to principal axis, then it will pass through focus point f2, correct? So I will write these rules once again over here. The first rule is if you have lens over here and this is your principal axis, this is f1, this is f2, correct, and this is your incident ray, then after refraction this will pass through focus point f2. This is your rule number 1. Now if we talk about rule number 2, the rule number 2 says if the incident ray, suppose I draw this optical center over here, this is your optical center over. If the incident ray is directly going to hit the optical center of this lens or is going to pass through this optical center, then it will not show any sort of refraction. If suppose this is your incident ray, if this is your incident ray, then since it is passing through optical center, it will not undergo refraction and will pass through this lens without any refraction, without any bending, without any deviation from its path. That is rule number 2. So if I write rule number 2 over here, the rule number 2 is if this is your lens and this is your principal axis, and if the incident ray is going to hit or going to pass through optical center O, this blue line is your optical center, then it will pass through the lens without showing any sort of refraction. It means it will not bend, it will not deviate from its path. This center is optical center O. Okay. Now rule number 3 says, if the incident ray is passing through focus point F1, if the incident ray is passing through, if this incident ray is passing through focus point F1, then after refraction, this refracted ray will be parallel to the principal axis. If the incident ray, this blue line, is passing through focus point F1, you can see this blue line passing through focus point F1. If it passes through F1, then after refraction, it means the moment it is going to hit this line is made by joining the corners of this convex lens. The moment it hits this line, it will become parallel to principal axis. So the third case is, if I draw convex lens here, and this is your principal axis, this is focus point F1, focus point F2, and if the incident ray is passing through focus point F1, then after refraction, this ray is going to be parallel with principal axis. Correct? So let us see these 3 rules once again in a quick session of time. This is a convex lens. This point is optical center. I have joined the 2 ends of this lens so that it can cut this principal axis, and this point can be considered as optical center. These blue lines which you see are actually incident rays, and these yellow lines which you see are actually refracted rays. Okay. Now the first rule is, if the incident ray is parallel to principal axis, which is I have drawn here different independently also. If the incident ray, this blue line, is parallel to principal axis, this white line, then after refraction, it means after bending, it will pass through this focus point. Correct? Rule number 2 says, if the incident ray, this blue line, is going to pass through optical center, then it will not show any sort of refraction. It means it will not bend, it will not deviate from its path, and it will be a very single straight line. That is what I have drawn here. The blue line, incident ray passing through the optical center, and after refraction it is not showing any sort of deviation or bending. Correct? Rule number 2. Now rule number 3 says, if the incident light, if you see this line, blue line, incident ray, is going to pass through focus point F1. If this incident ray is passing through focus point F1, then after refraction it will be parallel to this white line. Correct? I have drawn here also independently. If this blue line is passing through focus point F1, then this yellow line, which is the refracted line, after refraction, this line will be parallel to principal axis. Now on the basis of these 3 rules, we will draw ray diagrams for 6 different cases of position of object placed in front of convex lens, and again recall the 4 results and see whether these ray diagrams are actually justifying those 4 results or not, which we have done for theoretical question assuming r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5. I repeat, that value is for theoretical question r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, where the data has not been given, but still it asks for nature of image, size of image, position, real, virtual, etc., etc. And by assuming r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, you can calculate easily those results and write the answers in a very quick session of time. So, after seeing the rules for drawing ray diagrams for convex lens, let us again see the 6 cases of position of objects placed in front of convex lens. And for theoretical questions, we have seen how if we take r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, how easily we can learn that table of 6 possible cases of position of object placed in front of convex lens can be done in a quick session of time. Correct? Please do remember, every time I keep on saying, for theoretical questions you have to take r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, because it makes our calculation easy, and when in a very quick session of time you can learn that table. But if the data has been given in a numerical, then in that case you have to take whatever the values have been given for lens formula also and for magnification formula also. Correct? Now, for both theoretical questions and numerical questions, where the questions ask about nature of image, size of image, position, location, real image, virtual image, etc., etc., you have fixed type of ray diagram which I have drawn here and will explain in a very short session of time. So, the 6 cases which we have seen, we have calculated the 4 results. Let us see whether it is being justified with ray diagrams or not. The very first case was the object is placed at a very far distance in front of a convex lens, or in other words, the object is placed at infinity in front of a convex lens. So I have drawn here the ray diagram for the very first case. The object is placed at infinity or at a very far distance from the convex lens. Now in every ray diagram, please do remember, these blue lines represent the incident ray, the yellow lines represent the refracted rays. We are going to study refraction or bending of light in these cases, not reflection which we have seen in case of concave mirror or convex mirror. So starting with the very first case, we have seen if the object is placed at infinity, then the image is formed at focus point f2, and that image is very highly diminished or point size of image, and also that image is real and inverted. Let us see with the help of ray diagram now. See, these blue lines coming from a very far distance are incident ray. They are falling on this convex lens, and since this convex lens is a converging lens, they will meet at some point on the principal axis. Correct? They will move inwards. Converge rather. So these lines after refraction, see, these incident rays are parallel to this principal axis. Correct? Now rule number 1 says, if the incident ray is parallel to principal axis, then they should pass through focus point f2. That is why when the object is placed at infinity and these blue rays, which are incident rays, coming towards this convex lens and are parallel to the principal axis at the same time, are all going to pass through this focus point f2. So it means the image is being formed at f2. That was the first result which we have seen for the very first case. Correct? When the object is placed at infinity, the image is being formed at f2. The image is formed behind the lens. That means the image is real. Correct? In this particular case, we were getting h2 almost equal to 0. So it is a point size image or highly diminished image. And also, if you remember, negative sign was involved in magnification formula h2 by h1 is equal to v by u. When we substitute there, it was coming out to be in that calculation, it was coming out to be negative sign involved. So this image is inverted. Although does not make any sense, point cannot be considered as erect or inverted, but just for the sake of answer, if we have to write, we can write this image as inverted. So what are the 4 results? Image formed at f2, which you can see, all these lines after refraction from this convex lens are meeting at f2. Why? Because these lines are parallel to principal axis, and rule number 1 says, if these lines, these incident rays are parallel to principal axis, they should converge and meet at f2. Correct? So the first result, image being formed at f2. Since the image is formed behind the convex lens, the image is real and also it is highly diminished point size image, and at the same time, since in the magnification formula minus sign was involved, this image can be written as inverted image. As we move towards the convex lens, the second case was the image placed just before 2f1, that is the first center of curvature, or in other words, the image is placed beyond 2f1 if we talk from the right hand side. Correct? So the ray diagram for the second case I have drawn over here. If you see this, beyond 2f1. The object is placed beyond 2f1. If you see this white arrow, dark white arrow standing on this principal axis, this is your object, correct? Now please notice one line, this is parallel to, this blue line is parallel to this principal axis, correct? It is going to hit this convex lens. Rule number 1 says, if the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, it should pass through focus point F2. You can see after refraction, this point, this yellow line is passing through focus point F2, correct? Rule number 2 says, if the incident ray passes through the optical center, it should not show any deviation, or it should not undergo any bending when it passes through optical center. So one ray passes parallel to the principal axis, so after refraction this yellow line passes through focus point F2, and one ray passes directly through optical center and shows no deviation. The point where they meet is actually where the image should form on principal axis, correct? Now if you remember, the first result was the image, that is the position of image is formed between F2 and 2F2. That is what is written in the tabular form. If you see, in the first result is image being formed between F2 and 2F2. Now since this image is formed, again this image is formed behind the lens, the second result is the image should be real. That is why if you see, it has been written real image, correct? Now by substituting the values for theoretical also and for numerical questions also, if you substitute the values of V and U in magnification formula, H2 by H1 is equal to V by U, where H2 and H1 are height of image and height of object respectively, we get negative value of H2, and also the value of H2 was coming out to be less than H1. It means this image is diminished, or the height of the image is less than the height of the object. That is why I have drawn this dotted arrow as small than the length of this dark white arrow, which is the object. So the third result is this image is diminished, while the value of H2 comes out to be less than the value of H1. Also in that magnification formula, the value of H2 was coming out to be negative. It means the image should be inverted but not erect. That is why I have drawn it below the principal axis, and finally we have 4 results. Image formed between F2 and 2F2. Image is real because image is being formed behind the lens. Image is diminished because by calculation of magnification formula, value of H2 was coming out to be less than H1. And since its value was coming out to be negative, this image is inverted. So this justifies the 4 results which we have calculated using 2 formula, that is lens formula 1 by V minus 1 by U is equal to 1 by F, and magnification formula, that is H2 by H1 is equal to V by U. Now as we move towards convex lens, further towards convex lens, the third case would be rather the object is placed at 2f1 itself, that is the first center of curvature, and which we have written as 2f1, twice of the focal length, correct? Because radius is twice of focal length, or focal length is half of radius. Now this arrow which you see, dark white arrow which you see is actually your object. And again we have used 2 rays. The first ray according to rule number 1 is parallel to principal axis. So after it hits this lens, it will refract, it will bend and will pass through the focus point F2, which you can see this yellow line. The second incident ray is passing directly through optical center, and the point where they intersect each other is actually the point where the image is being formed, correct? So by seeing this, we can say the image is being formed at 2f2. That is what the first result which you can see in the tabular form, image formed at 2f2, correct? Now since again the image is formed behind the mirror, the image should be real, and that is what written a real image. Third result and fourth result which we have calculated using magnification formula, that is H2 by H1 is equal to V by U, where H2 is height of image, H1 is height of object. And there we have got the value of H2 was equal to value of H1 in magnitude but opposite in sign. H1 is positive, then H2 was turning out to be negative but equal in magnitude. It means the height of object and height of image are one and same. the value of H2 is equal to H1. That is why the result is written the height of image is equal to height of object. But since the value of height of image is coming out to be negative, that is why this image is not erect but inverted. Why? Because the height of the image will be calculated along negative y-axis. Correct? So the four results for this particular third case, when the object is placed at 2f1 or the first center of curvature, is image formed at 2f2, that you can see in the textbook written there, image formed at 2f2. This image is real. Why? Because it is being formed behind the lens. Third, the height of the image and the height of object are one and same, or height of image is equal to height of object. And fourth, since this value height of image is coming out to be negative, this is a inverted image. Correct? Now as we move further towards the optical center of convex lens, the fourth case becomes the object is placed between 2f1 and f1. You can see I have written here, the object is placed between f1 and 2f1. For theoretical questions, we have assumed f1 as minus 5 point, 2f1 as minus 10 point. In magnitude, distance of f1 from optical center is 5, and in magnitude, distance of 2f1 from optical center is 10. The object in fourth case is placed between f1 and 2f1. That is why we have taken for theoretical question, I repeat, for theoretical question. In numerical questions, data can be anything. For theoretical questions, we have assumed u to be between minus 5 and minus 10, and we took minus 7.5. And then using lens formula, the first two results were calculated. Correct? Where we got the position of image and whether the image is real or virtual. Now using the rules of ray diagram, once again, one incident ray is parallel to this principal axis. When it hits the lens, it gets refracted, converges, and should pass through f2, and actually it is passing through f2. You can see this yellow line as the refracted ray for this above blue incident ray. Correct? And by rule number 2, if the incident ray passes through this optical center, it should not undergo any bending or deviation from its path. It should not show any deviation from its path. The point where these two lines will intersect, these two refracted rays will intersect. Which refracted ray? One refracted ray coming from the incident ray parallel to principal axis, and one ray coming from the incident ray passing through this optical center, which is actually not undergoing any deviation. The point where they intersect is actually the point where the image will be formed on this principal axis. Correct? Now, if you remember, in the fourth case, when the object is placed between f1 and 2f1, the image is being formed beyond 2f2. If you remember, the value was coming out to be greater than 10. For theoretical questions, in numericals, data can be given, and then in numericals also you will get, if suppose in any numerical question, the distance of 2f2 from optical center is given as 20, for example. Then if the object is placed between f1 and 2f1, the distance of image will turn out to be greater than 20. And then also you have to draw the same diagram. These diagrams are common for theoretical questions also and numerical questions also, I repeat. Okay. So the very first result which we have seen, the image is formed beyond 2f2. Correct? You can see this image dotted arrow, it is forming beyond 2f2. And also, since this image is forming behind the lens or on the other side where the object has been placed, both are on the different sides of this lens. Since this image is forming behind the lens, this image will be real. Second result. Then by using the magnification formula h2 by h1 is equal to v by u, we have seen the rest two results, whether the height of image is equal, diminished or magnified in comparison with the object, and whether the image is erect or inverted. By substituting the values of u and v, u we have taken as minus 7.5, v was coming out to be 15. By substituting those values, h2 was coming out to be minus of twice h1. For theoretical questions, when we assumed r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5. h2 was coming out to minus of 2h1, which means in magnitude, height of image is double the height of object. That is why if you see this dotted arrow, it is greater than in the length of this white arrow, dark white arrow. Correct? Now this is object, this is mirror, this is image, and the height of this image is double of the height of the object. Correct? So the third result, image is magnified. But since the value was coming out to be negative, the height of image was coming out to be negative, that is why this image is not standing above the principal axis but is actually inverted. That is why the fourth result we have seen, the image is real but inverted. Correct? Now coming to the fifth case, as we move further towards the lens, convex lens, towards the optical center of the convex lens, the fifth case was the object is now placed at focus point f1. Correct? If you see this arrow standing on principal axis, it is placed above focus point f1, this dark white arrow. Now again, using the same way of drawing ray diagrams, rule number 1 and rule number 2. Rule number 1 says you draw an incident ray parallel to this principal axis, and after refraction pass it to the focus point f2. That is what I have done here. If you see this blue line, this is parallel to the white line principal axis, and after refraction this yellow line is passing through focus point f2. And also at the same time there is another incident ray which is going to pass through this optical center and is showing no deviation or bending and passes straight in a straight line. That is why this there is no angle between this refracted ray and incident ray when it passes through optical center. Now in this particular case, for theoretical questions where we assumed f is equal to 5, u was also taken as 5 but minus 5 because the object is placed on negative x-axis, and according to sign convention, if the object is placed on negative x-axis then the distance should be taken as negative. So 1 by v minus 1 by 5 minus 1 by minus 5 is equal to 1 by 5. Why? Because focal length was taken to be 5 for theoretical question. So 1 by v was turning out to be 0 or v was turning out to be 1 by 0, that is infinity and positive infinity. It means we don't know where the image will be formed. That is why these two rays are almost parallel and we are assuming that it will be formed at a very far distance, that is infinity. So the first result, the image is formed at infinity, positive infinity. And since it is positive infinity, the image will be formed behind the lens, so we have written real image. That is why the first two results are image formed at infinity and image is real. When we substitute the value of v and u in the magnification formula, that is h2 by h1 is equal to v by u, we got h2 is equal to minus times infinity of h1. Correct? That is why we have written the image is real but inverted. That is why if you see these lines nowhere are going to meet above the principal axis but can meet below principal axis, it means the image should be inverted and this image will be highly magnified. Why? Because the value of h2, height of image, was infinite times the height of object. You are multiplying the height of object with a very large number, so height of image should also be a very large number, but it is turning out to be negative. That is why inverted and highly magnified. So these were the four results which we have seen, and we have just seen the ray diagrams also, how to draw these ray diagrams. If we get a case, doesn't matter in theoretical question or a numerical question, but still ask about the nature of image, size of image, position of image, etc., etc., we can draw this particular diagram in both the cases. Correct? And get the four results. Now the last case was the object is now placed between f1 and optical center. This point is optical center, this point is optical center, this point is the first focus point, and this dark white arrow which you see is the object, is placed between f1 and optical center. Correct? Now in this particular case, this was the very first case where actually we were getting a virtual image and an erect image. Correct? If you can see this long dotted arrow, it is very big arrow and it is being formed in front of the convex lens, that is why it is virtual, and it is standing above the principal axis, that is why it is erect. Let us see how. Now since this point f1 is minus 5 for theoretical question, I repeat, for theoretical question this point is minus 5, for numerical it can be anything, and for both theoretical and numerical question you have to draw the same type of diagrams. So using lens formula, 1 by v minus 1 by u is equal to 1 by f, where f is 5. For convex lens the focal length is always positive, and for theoretical aspects we have considered it to be 5. So u I took u as minus 2.5. Why? Because this point is minus 5 and optical center was acting as origin. And since the object is placed between 0 and minus 5, for the sake of convenience of calculation, I took it as minus 2.5 for theoretical questions. And by substituting the value of u and f in the lens formula, that is 1 by v minus 1 by minus 2.5 is equal to 1 by 5. I got a negative answer, correct? V is equal to how much? Minus 15. Now, since I was getting a negative answer, it means the position of image should be on negative x-axis. That is why, and it was coming out to be greater than minus 10. Since it was coming out to be greater than minus 10, this image should form beyond 2f1 or before 2f1. It should form beyond 2f1 or before 2f1. That is why I have marked this point here. And by using the magnification formula, that is h2 by h1, we got the height of image to be very large in comparison to height of object. That is why this standing arrow, this dotted arrow acting as image is actually much greater than the height of the object. Also, since this value was turning out to be positive, that is why it is standing erect on the principal axis. So the four results which we got in this particular case, the image is formed beyond 2f1, the image is virtual because it is forming in front of the convex lens, the image is magnified because the value of height of image was coming out to be greater than the height of object, and since the value is positive, this image should be erect. So friends, do not forget for both theoretical and numerical questions, if ray diagrams is being asked, my suggestion is you always draw ray diagrams for both theoretical and numerical questions. You have to draw similar type of diagrams in both the cases. For theoretical questions, you can make your calculation easy for both mirrors also and lens also by taking r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5. Do not forget, in case of convex, focal length is always positive. Doesn't matter if it is a convex mirror or convex lens. For concave word, the focal length is always negative. Doesn't matter whether it is a concave lens or concave mirror. So finally, we have learned 6 different cases of position of object placed in front of convex lens. We have seen for theoretical question how quickly we can learn that tabular form of results, 4 results, position of image, whether the image is real or virtual, whether the image is magnified or diminished or equal to height of the object, and whether the image is erect or inverted. For theoretical questions, we have taken r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5. For numerical, whatever the value has been given, you have to take those values only. But for ray diagrams, you have to draw same ray diagrams for both theoretical and numerical questions. Okay, we have learned the rules for drawing ray diagrams in case of concave mirror also, if you remember. We have learned the rules for drawing ray diagrams for this convex lens also, correct? So these were different cases of position of objects placed in front of concave mirror, then we have seen convex mirror, and just now before these ray diagrams and rules for drawing ray diagrams, we have seen for convex lens. Now, since we are done with position of objects for mirrors and lens, now we will talk about what is actually power of lens, what does it mean, what is its significance, and how it varies with focal lengths of different lenses.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes, or missing classes for rain, for rally, and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
So what is power of a lens? Friends, we have learned that convex lens has the ability to converge light rays and concave lens has the ability to diverge light rays falling onto it, correct? Now we have different types of convex lenses, we have different types of concave lenses, by saying different types of convex lenses or different types of concave lenses, we mean to say they have different powers to diverge or converge light rays. And that the ability of a lens to converge or diverge is actually related to the power of the lens. So if we want to write the definition of power of lens, what we can write? I have written over here, if you can see, the degree of convergence of light rays achieved by convex lens, because convex lens has a tendency to converge light rays falling onto it, correct? And divergence of light rays achieved by concave lens is actually the power of lens. The degree of convergence of light rays achieved by convex lens and divergence of light rays achieved by concave lens is actually the power of lens. Now those lenses, if we talk about convex lenses, those lenses which produces larger angles are actually having shorter focal length, and it means they have higher power than those convex lenses which does not make larger angles because their focal length value is more. It means those lenses, in case of convex lenses, those lenses shorter focal length means larger angles. In concave lenses also, those lenses which have shorter focal length will have larger angles. The only difference is if suppose this is the incident ray and it is going to fall on convex lens, then the only difference is convex lens will produce angle in this manner, correct? And concave lens will produce angles in this manner. Why? Because this is bending of light or convergence of light, which is the property of convex lens, and this is divergence of light, which is the property of concave lens. But in both the cases, if the value of focal length is short, then larger angles will be produced, and we can say the power of lens is huge or higher. So actually power of a lens depends on the focal length of the lens. Doesn't matter whether it is a convex lens or concave lens. And the variation is, or the relation between power and the focal length of a lens is power, which can be symbolized by using P. Power is equal to 1 by F, but the only thing is to be noted is the unit of focal length should be in meters, or P is equal to 1 by F, where F is focal length of the lens, but the focal length should be in meters. So in other words, if we want to define power of a lens, we can say it is the ability of a lens to converge or diverge, which depends on the focal length of the lens, correct? And if we talk about the unit of power, you can see power is equal to 1 by F, where F is in meters. Unit of power is expressed in dioptry, where 1 diopter is equal to 1 by 1 meter, or in other words meter inverse, because if you take meter on the numerator side, it becomes meter inverse. So whenever we talk about power of a lens, we always have a word about the focal length of the lens. If the focal length of the lens is big, then it will not produce larger angles. If the lens is a convex lens, it will not produce a larger converging angle. If the lens is a concave lens, it will not produce a larger diverging angle if the focal length is more. If the focal length is less, convex lens will produce larger converging angle, and concave lens will produce larger diverging angle. Okay, so as far as now we are done with mirrors. We have seen the properties of plane mirror. We have seen the classification of mirror, that is plane mirror and spherical mirrors. We have seen the properties of image being formed in front of plane mirror. We have seen laws of reflection, angle I is equal to angle R. We have seen that the incident ray normal to the surface where the light is going to be reflected, and the reflected ray after reflection, all three lie in the same plane, and angle of incidence equal to angle of reflection. That is laws of reflection. We have talked about spherical mirrors, concave mirrors and convex mirror. We have seen 6 different cases of objects placed in front of a concave mirror. We have seen why there are 6 cases possible and why there are only 2 cases possible when the mirror is convex, correct? And we have seen that in convex the image formed is always virtual, where in concave we have a mixture of both real and virtual image. Then we have talked about lenses. What is a lens? how it is formed, what are different types of lenses, and also we have taken 6 types of cases of positions of object placed in front of a convex lens. We have understood why there are only 6 cases possible. What is the reason behind that? We have seen that the number line negative x-axis has been divided in so many points that 6 cases arises of position of object placed in front of convex lens. We have seen ray diagrams for concave mirror, also rules for drawing ray diagrams. We have seen the ray diagrams for both theoretical and numerical questions for position of objects placed in front of a concave mirror. We have learned ray diagrams for rules for ray diagrams for drawing image in case of convex lens also. We have seen 6 ray diagrams for 6 different cases of position of object placed in front of convex lens. Correct? And we have learned that if the question is theoretical, every time, doesn't matter whether it is concave mirror or convex lens, do remember every time you have to take r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, because it will make your calculation easy. Since the question is theoretical, you can assume any number, but my suggestion, if you take r is equal to 10 and f is equal to 5, it will make your calculation easy, and you can learn those 6 cases, results of those 6 cases in a very quick session of time. But if the question is numerical, you have to use the data given in the question. So we are done with concave mirrors, convex mirrors. We have seen convex lens also. We have talked about the power of lens also. We have seen rules for drawing ray diagrams based on laws of reflection for concave mirror, and we have seen rules of ray diagrams for lenses, and also we have seen the 6 ray diagrams for 6 different cases of convex lens. Now we will talk about the most important part of our body, that is human eye, because eye is the part of our body which is responsible for us to see objects when the light falls into.